Hola Leti,
Hola, ¿cómo andas?
¿cómo andás? ¿Todo bien?
¿Todo bien? Estamos arrancando en un ratito y prometo ser breve y concisa.
Dale, no hay problema.
Vamos a ver quién más se suma hoy. Ay, hay más.
Dale. Sí, ahí las chicas
Ah,
de...
Juliana está
Pará,
con
ponele
vos.
mute.
No.
Ahí se escucha. Las chicas se están conectando en su compu para que no estemos todos aplastados en una sola compu.
Sí, totalmente. Bueno, la clase pasada hubo un problemita y no me quedó grabada. Así que,
Oh, te le iba a pedir el video.
no, sí, por eso esta vuelta voy a remarcar algunas cosas que yo le puse grabar, después le puse dejar de grabar cuando habíamos, se había trabado la conexión y después nunca le puse grabar de nuevo. Así que ahora esta vez le dejé grabando nomás y quedará con toda esa introducción, después la corto.
Claro. Sí.
Qué mocas. Bueno, ahí. Joe is here, Valentina is here. We have Santi, okay. We're gonna start a couple of minutes and then start. Let's see who else is joining us. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. We're gonna start, and if somebody joins us, they will catch up later with the recording that we are doing of the training, so they can review the concept. This time, I want you to stop me at any time if you have any questions, because I realized from the last Zoom that first I talk too fast, then second, when I say something and you don't pick up something, later on you don't pick up all the rest of the concepts. So if you have any questions, please interrupt, do the questions, and we're gonna try to solve that at that instant, not at the end of the class, because at the end of the class it seems that it's a bunch of information that you did not pick up. So that's not the purpose of this training. I want to review a couple of things that we saw the last week. When you create a drawing from scratch, when you use some of our templates, when you go to File, New, and you start with one of the templates that we have, and I suggest that you start with the template that has the layers information only, not the imperial template. I'm going to show you the difference between this and the other template file. This file only has the layer information incorporated and the squares of the printable area in the paper space, always related to a sheet ArcE1. So again, this is not valid for all sheets. This is only valid for sheet ArcE1, that is the most used sheet in our project. I suggest that you start with this template, but because on this template, you just delete the information that you are not going to use. For example, if you decided to draw in 1/8 scale, you just delete the smaller scale and you just keep that square and the layer information. If you use the other template that we have, that is the one that have all the blocks for all scales, you're gonna have the drawing full of information that you're not gonna use. Even though that later on you do a purge or you delete that information is occupying a big space in the drawing with no purpose. So you only have to open this drawing and copy and paste in the other drawing the information that you're gonna need. If I decided to use the 1/8 scale, I'm gonna delete all this. I'm gonna go back to my drawing. I'm gonna look for this scale, copy and paste this information here, and always make sure, if you use our template, you're gonna have already set up the drawing to use the correct UCS and the correct location for your drawing. If you use this drawing and suddenly you start drawing, for example, I don't know, here, and you do all your drawing here, and later on, let's say 2 weeks later, you realize that you want to use this drawing as an XREF. What happened with this information? When I start drawing here, I have two options. Either I move all my drawings to the 0, insertion point, or I have to move the insertion point inside the drawing. Especially if this drawing will be an XREF. If this drawing will be an XREF, every time I insert the drawing will be inserted from the 0 point or the base point. We saw that the last week. Base point can be altered from us if we type base, and instead of having 0, 0, 0 as it is on this drawing, I can change that and say that this will be my base point now. So every time I inserted this drawing as an XREF, the drawing will use as an insertion point this corner here instead of the 0, 0. That has nothing to do with the UCS. I changed the base point, but nothing was changed regarding the UCS, and vice versa. If I change the UCS, nothing will be changed regarding the base point of the drawing. Those are two separated things. So back again to my base point. If I keep the one that AutoCAD has as a default and is already set up in our standards, then I should be back to 0, 0, 0. Sorry. Now the drawing is back to 0, 0, 0. I don't recommend that you change the base point unless that you have already drawn a bunch of stuff and you have to turn off all the layers and review that you don't have anything turned off. But in any case, it will be always better to keep the base point as 0, 0, 0. In a very complicated situation, I would suggest that you change the base. Otherwise, just keep 0, 0, 0. Back to the UCS. A UCS is the acronym for User Coordinated System. That means that every time that we change or work with the UCS, we're going to be changing the X and Y plane, or the work plane, or the construction plane, any way you call it. I mean, when we are changing the UCS, we are changing the work plane. Since we don't work in AutoCAD 3D, we are only changing or altering the X and Y plane. So especially us, we don't need to change anything on the theta plane. So regarding the UCS, it is very important that you know at least two different UCS. We have the Word UCS. You can work typing UCS, and you're gonna be displaying all the different alternatives for the UCS: face, name, object, previous view, or Word, or X, etc. There are all of these itself is all of them. It will take half an hour to talk about each of them, but I only want to mention two: the Word UCS, that is the setup UCS that came with AutoCAD. That is, it is always located in the 000 of the file. Even though that we think that AutoCAD is an infinity drawing, which it actually is, the reality is that when you work with the Word coordinate system, you are working on the 000 of that file. And we should understand that even though that you can work here, that is not suggested or not recommended, because every time that you work here and you do a zoom expand, or you're gonna be having object here, object here. So we should try to have the Cartesian system inside our drawing. So if I go to the different option of the UCS, you're gonna see that on the view display, you have many options. One of them is name UCS, create different UCS in your drawing. And the other one is go back to the Word UCS. That is something that we always do inside of our drawing. For the floor plans, for example, we will always have a Word UCS unless that we have some angles inside our drawing. Let's say, for instance, this drawing is set up with a UCS because the original location of the survey, we receive the survey in this condition. When either we have two options: we create a UCS like we did here with all the floor plan in 90 degrees, or we rotate the drawing. Both of them are valid. If you don't want to alter the information that came from the survey, the best thing will be create a UCS. But since we're gonna be working a long time with this, you can just directly rotate your drawing and have everything in Word. In this case, we created a UCS, and every time that I want to go back to that UCS, I select my UCS and I type plant, and I decided to see my drawing as the current UCS. So We are back to the way we were before. I only suggest this if you have the strong feeling that this will be convenient for something, maybe in the case in the site they use a system, a coordinate system that they will put the information of the drawing and they will bring all the coordinates from there. Otherwise, just rotate the drawing and you will be fine. But you're going to have to create UCS for sure when you work with the sections and the elevations. This is the same house, and this is the way in which I created the sections, and the elevations are created in that way. Actually, it was the way in which Seal did it because she was the one working on this before. As you can see, this is an XREF inserted in the 00 of this file, and we created different UCS for the four different views of the house. And every time I want to switch to one of those views, I just choose the view. I'm gonna go to plan, current UCS, and every time something is changed on the drawing, I can update it without having to insert and rotate the drawing related to the floor plan. I have all my floor plans here inserted, and if I want to change something on the ground, and I just do a reload and load the other one, and I have my ground level ready to update whatever is changing on the drawing. How can I create this UCS? It's very simple. On the view here, you have the possibility of creating UCS and name them with some name that you want to provide. That is only, I mean, we use elevate 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use whatever name. You can just put front elevation, rear elevation, whatever you want when you create a UCS. The first thing that I'm going to do if I want to create a new UCS is I'm going to create a UCS based in 3 points. So I type UCS and then I type 3. I decided where am I going to locate this new UCS. For example, I'm going to create again the UCS for elevation 2. So I'm going to give first the origin, the X and Y. My new UCS is creating there. If I want to see this in the correct way, I type plan, current UCS, and the view will be rotated for me to have it in the correct way. Now I want to name this because it's a name. I'm gonna go here, name UCS. And for this current, I'm gonna give another name because elevation 2 is already created. And I'm gonna put front elevation. Okay, I have now all these views creating, and also this front elevation that is actually the same as elevation 2, but this was just to show you this. I can manage all of them from the same place. If I want to delete this, just delete this new name. That's it. And I want to go back to the word elevation. I type W, go back when well, in this case, word is rotated because we are using the same concept that we did for the floor plan. Let's say I want to go back to elevation 1, plan, current, back in elevation 1. What happens? How can I create my sheet for these drawings if everything is rotated here? Well, that's the good thing about the XREF. when I create this as an XREF, I need to create a second file that is the sheet file. That will be the file in which I can see my information correctly displayed for printing. So in the case of the sections, I have many sections set up for this house. I'm gonna go to the sheet file, and on the sheet file, I have all my sections shown properly with some other information that is part of the formatting of the drawing, like the grid lines, text, dimensions, all the titles, everything is raw. All the things that have to do with text or dimensions or that is inside this file. It is a very important concept that you need to separate the drawing from the format. As you can see here in my section, in this case, we have the room names because it was important for us to have them to be sure where we have it. But this is in a non-printable layer. The same information about all the levels. I don't have that information here. See, it's in an auxiliary layer. So you can see auxiliary block. It's not printable. Why it's not printable? Because we can use this section for many other drawings that is not only for the building sections. We can create enlarged sections with this, taking just a piece of this and creating some sort of X clip for the area that I want to enlarge. Or we can use this section for the interior elevations. And if we do that, we're gonna be X clipping all the room and only showing the walls that we want to show. What is the advantage of doing that? It's very simple. Every time we change something here, will be changed automatically in all the drawings that are affecting or are calling this XREF. So I strongly suggest that you take the most of the drawings that you do. If you do that, you can also maximize the time that you are drawing. If you draw this once and then later on you call this in a large section and you also are using this for the enlarged, for the interior elevation, you can work as much as possible similar to a BIM software. Of course, it's not going to be the same, but you're going to be drawing one and updating maybe 3 or 4 drawings. So in order to do that, the XREF file should be created correctly with the correct layers, with the correct no text, no dimensions, nothing that can be changed later on in the sheet. That's why we have the sheet file. So for example, in this case, every section is a block inside this drawing. Why is that? Why I created every section as a block? Because as you can see in this other file, sometimes I need to put some elevations next or some section next to each other to take some lines from them and verify that all of them are the same height. So if I'm working on this elevation and I want to verify, for example, this roof here, this is a block. If I need to edit something, maybe move this roof up or down, if I edit here, will be edit also in the place where originally was located. So you can take the most of your drawings if you use XREF and block. No groups. Remember, never use groups. Groups are not worth for anything. They are just something that AutoCAD did to have some complicated information in your drawing. So always use block and XREF. If you do that, you're gonna maximize your drawing and you're gonna be able to use that drawing everywhere. one important thing about the block is that if you want to redefine a block that is already inside your drawing, for example, on this section, I have partially expressed the elevations in some of the sections. Not in this one, I think it's this one. I have the elevation inserted as an XREF. I'm going to use properties for you to see. This is an external reference of the elevation. Every time, what is the part of drawing in this section? The pool. We are doing a section through the pool, and we are showing all the information that is behind as an XREF. Every time I change this XREF, this file, it will be changed here. So that's the good thing about working with XREF. But there's also something else. For example, if I need to change, like on this house, the entrance doors was changed like a million times. So I created a block with the entrance door, because that entrance door is particular. It's this entrance, it's this door that is here. I created a block with this door, and I want to update it in, for example, the sections, the doors and window elevations and all that. What happens every time I change a block and I copy and paste that block in the file that is already there? Well, it won't be updated. I'm going to do the test with you for you to see. This door is a block, right? Name, entrance door. Actually, it should have the block name should have at the beginning the acronym of the project. That should be the correct way of doing. If I'm creating a block and I have entrance door, I will have entrance door for 10 different projects. So the door name, the block name should have the name of the project before, but never mind about that. This is the entrance door. I want to copy this door and paste in the other drawings that were affected by the change. So if I copy and paste this block, let's say I'm going to change something on this block that is very...
Sorry, I have a question about what you did recently.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, is when you have a block inside another block and you want to take it out, like you did with this door, how you did it?
Okay, let's go
because
back.
You did it very fast.
Yes, sorry about that. I know. Sometimes I don't realize about that, so it's good that you mentioned that. Every time I work inside a block, I have some commands here displayed that deal with these commands will be displayed only when I'm working with the block. This will not appear unless I'm working with the block. If I'm inside the block, is this background, it is named block editor. All this background that I have now that I'm working inside a block. If I want to change a block that is inside a block, I cannot do that, because if I want to, for example, change this, see, I have a text that says command not allowed. Elevation 4 already checked out for editing. I'm already inside a block, so I cannot change a block that is inside a block. How can I change that? Well, it's easy. I copy this outside my block. How can I remove this information from my block? I have a command here that is remove from working set. If I do that, this is outside the block. Now I'm outside the block. I save the changes and I go back, and the block is alone and not inside another block. It is the same thing if I want to include a block inside my block. I'm gonna edit the block in place again, and I'm gonna select this and add to my working set. Boom, the block is inside my drawing again. If AutoCAD does not let me or allow me to add something inside my working set, it's because that block is already inside the drawing, inside that block somewhere, right? And for example, sometimes we have the block, but with a different name or with some sort of difference between all of them, and that will give some error. So if that is the case, you're gonna have to explode and incorporate the elements alone. But I'm gonna remove from my working set, and then I can save my changes or discard my changes. It's not a problem if I discard my changes because the block is already out. So I'm not gonna lose the block that I took out from the other block. But what happens when I want to copy and paste this? I'm gonna do some notorious change to this block so you can see. I'm gonna incorporate this rectangle here, say changes. And now I have to take this to other files that I have the same block. If I copy using copy and paste into a different file, for example, I'm on the elevations, I'm gonna go to the sections, copy and paste, nothing happened with the change that I did to the block. Why that happened? Because the block is already on the drawing. So when that happened, it took the information from the file that is already inside my file. So I cannot do that. I cannot work with copy and paste when I did some change to the block. What I need to do is I need to go back to the original file where I changed this, and I need to take out this block with the command W blocks. You just type W, and it will, when the name was displayed, is the first one, W block. This dialog will appear. I need to select the block that I want to export out of my drawing, and I need to decide where I want to put that information. In this case, I'm gonna put it on the desktop because it's just for us to verify. Or I can select the block from here, entrance door. Now that file is saved on the desktop. I go back to my other file where I want to import that, and I'm gonna insert the block calling that information from the desktop. So entrance door, and now AutoCAD is asking me if I want to redefine the existing definition of that block. I'm gonna say yes, redefine, and now I have my block with the information correct that I incorporated, right? Gone, what's your question, answer?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So when you work with blocks, you need to know that, for example, blocks with attributes, there's a difference between the attribute and the text. Let's go to here. This is a text, right? Text are printable elements. It is very important that you know this. Printable elements that can be altered in their shapes or in their properties from the text style that is located inside format. I can create different text styles and change the font, the height, the width, all from here, or I can just edit the properties of that text from the property bar here. it is not suggested that you change the width or the height of some text from here, because you're going to be changing that particular element and not all the drawing. If, for example, you want to change, actually, you shouldn't be changing any text properties, because that is why we have the template already created. But let's say that you have a drawing that is, for example, a charrette, and this text is huge. So you're going to be printing in 11 by 17. You don't need this to be so big. So if you want to change something, you need to go to the text style and change the style for all the drawing. Otherwise, you're going to be changing only this, and you're going to be working as a mule because you're going to have to change every single text in your drawing. So every time that you want to change, for example, I want to change this word that is huge. Okay, the style is RAD titles 96. Okay, let's go to titles. '96. I'm going to change a couple of things so we can see the difference. I'm going to change the font. I'm going to change the height. I'm going to use something very big so we can realize the difference. Something. Apply. See the difference? This text was changed, and also this text. I mean, I changed a couple of texts. If I have the drawing full of this information, let's say that I have already put all the room names everywhere, and I want to change because I don't like the text is the font is crap. I don't know. Well, let's do it in the proper way from the text style dialog box. But I want you to understand the big difference that we have between a text and an attribute. This is a text. When I have a text, I can do all those things. An attribute is something that only exists inside the block. I'm gonna explode this block with the command explode X. This is not a text. This is a text, and this is an attribute. An attribute is only printable when it's inside a block, and the block is created. For example, right now, if I print this, all this text won't appear in the PDF, because the attribute will only be visible, printable, if you do a block. Never use an attribute to, for example, create annotations or create text. The attribute only is used when it's inside a block. If I want to create a new block with attributes, what is the difference between having a block with text and having a block with attributes? Well, it's very simple, and you have used that like a million times for sure. When I have a block created with attributes, I will do double click, and I will be able to edit those attributes. I will be able to use this. Is much easier than creating a text for every single unit destination. What is a text inside this box? The word unit. As you can see, if I double click, I cannot change that. That was created as a block. If I explode this is a text, and all these are attributes. Creating a block with attributes is not that easy if you want to do it right. You need to be sure that the attributes are always with the correct format. In this case, middle center, and located, when we created this, we selected the center to be the one that we need for all these attributes. You also need have to be sure how many space you need for the attributes, because if I'm going to use a number that's going to have 3 zeros here, I'm not going to fit. So, and always, like all blocks, all of these should be created in 0 layer and by layer. Unless that I want all of this text to be shown in lighter line type. So in that case, I'm going to provide to this attribute color, red in this case, because I want all of these to be print in a lighter thickness than the rest of the information. When I created a block with attributes, I also need to be sure in which angle the block will be used, because this block is only possible to be seen with the attribute displayed in 0. There's a bunch of things that you can select from the miscellaneous here in the attributes. For example, if I want this block to be rotated and this attribute rotates along with the block, and this information can be seen upside down, then I need to click yes here. If I want this block to be able to mirror and have the information mirrored with them, then I need to also select backward, so that the text can be seen in backward. Then there's another information like invisible, constant, verify, press, multiple lines. Multiple lines is very useful if you are using blocks. For example, I want to create a block for all the reference in the drawing, like we have on the floor plans or in the RCPs, in which we have notes on the text below. I don't have anything here. Nothing. The RCPs, for example, that have all the notes here, and in this case have also drawings. But if I want to create a block with attributes that can be altered with multiple lines, it's very easy. You just need to type here multiple lines, and that attribute will be displayed every time you type enter another line inside the block. And there's another very important option that you have here, that is lock position. That is very important if you are creating, for example, blocks that have an attribute like the tag we have on the floor plan that is for the steps, and you need to for example, I cannot find it. Oh, here. In this case, this was separated from the, actually, I think it has, because this is a big step, so the attribute is a text that is outside the box. Let's see, we'll find another. If you want to have always this number in the same position, you need to lock the position of this attribute. Is the case. This is an attribute. And from the text option, you can change the width, the rotation. I can make this to be seen in 0 instead of 270 degrees. There's a bunch of information that you can change here, you can change, but that will only change one block. That is when I have all the blocks created and I want to change something. For example, it is very often that with the wall type, sometimes you need to move a little bit the information or change something. Well, that will only change one specific block. All the things that you change here or here will adjust only one block. If you want to change all the blocks, you need to edit the block in place, like we always do with the blocks.
Letty,
Yes.
is there a way to add, for example, numbers when we are putting the windows and doors numbers? Is there a way to continue the numbers without typing each one?
Well, that's a macro. If you want to do that, you need to create a macro inside the AutoCAD. And that to create macros, you need to type the routine for the macros. If I understand what you want to do, you want to put all the tags and that the tags will be named after, for example, I have the tag and I will copy, and when I do this, that will be automatically 127, right?
Yes.
So
that was the question.
Yes, that can be done with a macro. I can send you the information for that because that is particularly hard. You need to type the routine for that. Or there's another thing on the AutoCAD when you try to use it and try to take the most of it, that can be done with list files. I have a bunch of list files that I can share with all of you. List files are commands done for some particular situations. For example, I downloaded a list routine the other day that was for lock the file, lock all the files so nobody can alter what you do. I did that for a project. See, all of that are my list files. You can create this list file or you can download it from the internet. I have most of these are downloaded from the internet. You have used the freehand?
Yes.
Yes. We downloaded that a long time ago, sometimes when Rafa wants something that was nicer for the clients to see the floor plan, we use the freehand. But there's a bunch of them. I have these that can put the areas with the text inside that has the area for that. For example, what that list do is I create a polyline, and if I use that list, a text inside with the area will be put automatically. Well, I have many of these.
Ah, that is great.
Many have. I can share with all of you. When I finish with this class, I'm gonna do a zip file with all of this, so you can have this. Create a spiral stairs. This list file.
Okay, great.
In view and in floor plan. That is great. That is the way I created the stairs in Andas, for example, because they were very complicated. I have many things that are not so often used, but if you need to use it once and you have that, it's a really great thing. Well, a macro is like a list file, but with further information that you can do specifically for your project. You can create macros that open the file, do something, save and close, for example. Macros are very useful when you do a bunch of mechanical work. Like, for example, you need to rename all the tags and incorporate a 0 before or whatever. Well, you can do a macro and that will save a bunch of time because macro runs automatically, but that are very hard to program it and we can talk about that later on. That's not a problem, but it is not specifically for this training, but I can show you that. Well, I think we review the XREF, the XUCS, the paper space. Well, there will have to be for next class because it's a bunch of information only for that. But for this time, I think reviewing the blogs and the XREF was very useful, and I'm gonna pass the information on the list. Every time you need to install a list, you have to go to Toolbar, look for the list. Sorry, not here. Here. Oh. List files, yes.
Yes, then can you send us all the templates, the RAD templates? Because I think we don't have all of them.
Okay, what else?
So
Templates? Okay.
zip with all the templates.
Okay. Templates and lists.
Cool. Yeah,
I'm gonna create a Dropbox folder, so I will be uploading there also maybe the class and everything. So I don't know. I still need to figure out if I upload that to YouTube or something because they are very heavy. But
okay, great.
But I will upload the templates and all the information. And the list file, every time you need to load the list file, you're gonna have to enter here, and this was the list that I was using for locking the file. And there's a bunch of these that you can download it from the internet. There's a bunch. The one for the spiral sphere is great. It's great.
Yes. Then can you show us on another class how to use it?
Yes, and use it, and you can create, and it's not hard to create that.
Yes, because now I have a spiral stair, and that would
Yes.
help me a lot.
If you open this, you can edit all of this as much as you want. Well, it's part of another class, but this all can be edited, and you can create your own list, and it's not that hard as you would think.
Okay.
Okay, guys, if you have questions, go ahead. Otherwise, we're gonna be finishing.
No, just what Santi asked for is the templates and the initial drawings to start drawing, because we believe that don't have the latest ones that you are using.
Okay.
And we always open the template with all the scales and start from there. So that is we're working.
No. This is the one that you should. Don't worry, I will be sending those, the list, and
do you have any of 11 by 17 also for the concepts, images or concept for projects?
Yes, I think I have them. I have them from a different project that when we used to do only site plan, that there was a time in which we create a bunch of projects from scratch, and we in that period of time we created a bunch of drawings in 11 by 17. So I'm gonna look for those.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
The other thing that it will be great to have, I don't know if you have now or we can start working on that, is like a file having all blocks of furniture, toilets, bathrooms, lockers, all that we use always in these projects, and have like a starting point to create the new layouts of other floor plans and other projects.
But don't you have the blocks library? Didn't I put that information or no? The blocks library. Blocks library is this. Let me show you. blocks library, Imperial, we have divided according to what we thought at that moment that was useful. Openings, trees, furniture, appliances and fixtures, lights. Well, if you open, for example, furniture, you're gonna have a bunch of information. See? The name of the file is in floor plan or if it's in view. All FP is floor plan. All these floor plans. Are you seeing the preview?
Yes.
Yes.
We don't have that information.
Okay, I will share with you. And also, well, of course, all these logs were done a bunch of time ago. Maybe we have better now, but the good thing about this log is that they are all created in 0 with the insertion point correct and no information in 3D and nothing that can be a problem in the drawing later on. That's why we always tend to use this.
They look like very traditional furniture.
Yes.
Or modern or something like that.
Yes, they are very traditional because this library was created like 15 years ago, 12 years ago. And after that, we didn't have time to improve this and create new blocks and all that. But this is a starting point, and it has, even though there is traditional information, traditional appliances and furniture, they are the correct sizes that Rafa wants. That is important. For example, for the sofas, for the beds, are the correct sizes that he wants. And for the appliances, for example, they have the brands inside. This is a wood grill. This is a tub that is a Stark tub. So they are very, very well done. If you want to, for example, use a refrigerator, you can use these refrigerators because those are taken from Sub-Zero. So it is something that exists. It's not something generic.
Okay, great.
There will be some time in which we should be updating this and incorporating, but I don't see an horizon when that is happening soon.
No way.
No time. And when we did this, I remember that we have somebody doing this. And I was checking that all of them were good, but it was a long time ago. Okay, guys, thank you for your time. And I will upload to the Dropbox all that information, the blog, the templates, all of that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Letty.
One thing that I suggest, please save this information in a place where everybody can have access and are easy to find. Otherwise, it is useless. If you put it inside a project or something like that, you're never going to find it or you're going to forget. Have a folder like I have that is a support material where I have the logs library. I have also a detail library that is also all. And everything that is general for all projects, I have it here. So try to have the same organization so you can find it when it's necessary.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Bye, Letty. Thank you.
Bye.